Washington Huskies Matisse Thybulle. Photo by Alika Jenner. Getty Images. The Cleveland Cavaliers have not had the season that they would have hoped for going into 2018-19, and we've nailed down the reasons for that time after time. The team's best player, Tyronn Lue, missed 50 games due to reported toe surgery. Former head coach, Tyronn Lue, was fired after the season's first 6 games, and current head coach, Larry Drew, has had all sorts of injuries to deal with over the course of the year, to go along with the mostly lack of love. Veterans have come and gone, and that's put a huge workload on rookie point guard Collin Sexton and young forward Cedi Osman, who has played his first considerable NBA minutes share this season. Rough situation the Cavaliers have been in has led to many losses, and they have a realistic chance of having a top 3 pick in the 2019 NBA draft as a result. Even with that being the case, though, there's reason to be optimistic. Sexton and Osman, as plenty of KJG contributors have emphasized, have really picked up their play lately, and in particular, since Lue has gotten to play a bigger minutes share post-All-Star break for the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's been some tanking teams on the schedule for Cleveland, which does help the numbers some, but the Cavs did just destroy the Toronto Raptors, who have the NBA's second-best record, per NBA.com, on Monday night, and lost in the last 2 minutes against the Philadelphia 76ers on the road Tuesday night while not having Larry Nance Jr., Matthew Dellavedova and Tristan Thompson, all due to reported injuries. The biggest focus for the Cavaliers in the coming years, and hopefully to return to relevance in the near future, has to be improving defensively, though. According to Basketball Reference, the Cavs will end up having the worst defensive rating ever recorded for a season, since the statistic has been recorded. A player in the 2019 NBA draft that I would love for Cleveland to draft with the Houston Rockets' first-round pick they acquired via the previously mentioned 3-team trade involving the Sacramento Kings acquiring Alec Burks is Washington's Matisse Thybulle. Here's the first reason why Cleveland general manager Koby Altman and company should strongly consider drafting Thybulle, with that being his defensive prowess. Page 2 SEATTLE, Washington, February 20. Matisse Thybulle. Photo by Alika Jenner. Getty Images. Playing at the University of Washington and not piling up massive scoring or assist numbers to feasibly draw casual NBA fans, it's the defensive end of the floor where Thybulle will make his mark in the association. He was recently named the Pac-12 Conference's Defensive Player of the Year for the second year in a row. The Seattle Times' Percy Allen. Thybulle's defensive instincts are impeccable, and that's a huge part of why, per 247 Sports Dogman's Chris Fetters, he's the first Division I player in 20 years to have 100 steals and 70 blocked shots in a season. Furthermore, as the defensive savant, set the Pac-12 single-season steals record as of yesterday, in which he set the mark in a Pac-12 tournament win over USC, per the UW Hoops Twitter. Thybulle is a terror, playing one of the two at the top of UW head coach Mike Hopkins' 2-to-3 zone, and the threat Thybulle poses makes opposing offenses second-guess throwing even basic passes, and often limits penetration opportunities. Thybulle's 7-foot wingspan flies off the TV screen, and it allows him to recover so well even after closeouts, and routinely swat opposing jump shooters from behind. His impeccable anticipation, timing, and athleticism are the reason for him to have an otherworldly 2.9 blocks per 40 minutes for a perimeter player, per Sports Reference. His career plus 5.6 defensive box plus-minus mark is nothing to sneeze at, either. Now, playing in a defensive playmaking role that enables him to gamble with his own behind him probably has inflated his steal and block numbers, but the ease as to which those numbers have come to the senior are worth noting. The Cleveland Cavaliers do not many players currently on their roster who project as high-level defenders on the perimeter in the coming years, and Thybulle's combination of basketball intellect, unique length and ability to be an impact help and weak-side defender right away have to warrant strong consideration from Altman and company with the Houston pick. Thybulle could feasibly pester opposing primary ball handlers in a number of instances throughout games, as there's plenty of instances in which you see Thybulle beat defensive players to their spots, and slide well to dictate their decision-making thereafter and deter scoring or playmaking chances. His hands are magnets for opposing ball handlers, and the turnovers he's generated are not simply because of him playing in the aforementioned Washington 2-3 zone, as the Stepion's Ben Rubin detailed. His technique on the perimeter puts offensive players in a bind constantly. Even Kevin Porter Jr. of USC, who has a heck of a handle and should be a top 2019 NBA draft selection, fell victim to Thybulle earlier this year here, per ProfessionalBasketballCombine.com's John Chetkovich. With his IQ and feel for off the ball, he could create runouts after stunting into the lane on opponent drives, and he could still get hustle blocks after getting out to shooters pulling up both inside and outside the three-point arc. I would imagine navigating through off-ball screens is something this guy could also pick up very quickly at the next level, too, and that's something David Nwaba, if he returns next season, as he reportedly likely will, and Matthew Dellavedova can help Thybulle with, anyhow. The next reason Cleveland should strongly consider Thybulle as his potential fit next to the young bull. Page 3 Cleveland Cavaliers Collin Sexton, photo by Jesse D. Garabrant, NBA via Getty Images. Collin Sexton is getting better, and Dellavedova and, more recently, Brandon Knight should get some credit for mentoring the rookie in terms of Sexton's decision-making and less frantic play. As former longtime King James Gospel contributor, and now SB Nation's Fear the Sword writer, Jackson Flickener has previously alluded to, Sexton has gotten much better as the year has gone on at changing speeds and setting up defenders, instead of just rushing into the paint as he did often earlier in the season. More from King James Gospel. In addition, with a healthier love on the floor with Sexton on most occasions since the All-Star break, Sexton has gotten better at setting up his teammates, and initiating ball swings, as we've previously illustrated here at KJG, though the assist numbers for Sexton, just 3.4 assists per 36 minutes, per Basketball Reference, don't scream that he's going to be a long-term starting point guard in the association. He's far from the only first-year point guard to not be outstanding in terms of assist totals. Sexton's defense has a ways to go as well, as we've harped on, but he can and I believe will, in particular off the ball, get better on that end with more experience and more film study. The dude is 20, so I'll give him some slack for his rough advanced defensive metrics to begin his career. Taking this information related to Sexton into consideration, having a player such as Thybulle, who has started in every game he's played in his college career at UW, per Sports Reference, and could develop into an outstanding perimeter defender, could be a great pairing next to Sexton in the next few years. In some lineups, Thybulle could realistically play on the wing as well, but I'd think his highest ceiling would be at the 2, with Sexton's speed end-to-end with the ball, even after opposing made baskets, and the Thybulle's defensive feel and length reeks on opposing perimeter players. The two, along with the defensive instincts of Osman and Nance, could generate a number of easy opportunities for the Cleveland Cavaliers in transition. Here's a case in point. Thybulle is a player that is fairly limited on the offensive end, as evidenced by his career 9.3 points per game scoring average in 4 seasons, but his career three-point clip of 36.5% on 3.9 attempts per game, per Sports Reference, at least gives some reason to be optimistic for his outlook as a spot-up shooter. Currently, likely due to his offensive limitations, Thybulle's draft projection is 30th overall, according to Bleacher Report's Jonathan Wasserman. For the record, Thybulle's career 51.9% three-point rate, and most of those coming from catch-and-shoots, also shows that he's used to his shot attempts coming from ball movement, and with Sexton, Jetty Osman, Love, and potentially Jordan Clarkson and/or deli deliveries, Thybulle could get a considerable number of open looks from the corner and above the break. Thybulle will occasionally get buckets from one-dribble pull-ups after handoffs, and some easy baskets near the rim from straight-line drives after closeouts, too, but at least in the coming years, I'd expect him to be more of a scorer from the assisted variety, which is fine, given what he could bring early on the defensive end and as a transition piece. The third reason is he fits the development mindset Cleveland is going to have in the coming years, and in a little to no pressure rebuilding scenario, he could blossom into a key piece. Page 4 Washington Huskies Matisse Thybulle, photo by Leon Bennett, Getty Images. The Cleveland Cavaliers are probably a few years away from being in postseason contention in the improved Eastern Conference. With that being the case, and with their defense needing to be the focal point of their rebuilding efforts in the coming years, it'd be a great pairing with Thybulle, who does need to grow offensively, but feasibly projects to be a plus defender right away. That would have great value for Cleveland, who does not have many players, especially of the younger variety, that seemed to have much defensive versatility. I still believe Osman will be a plus defender in time, especially when he can match up more against wings, where he's more comfortable, as opposed to playing against bigger FAs, which he's unfortunately had to do far too often this season, as we've previously touched on. Thybulle is a player who seems to be very mature and be of the highest character, much like Sexton, Nance and Osman, who could be franchise cornerstones for Cleveland in the coming years. Thybulle is not used to having anything tailor-made either, and even had to undergo a rebuild of his own at Washington, where, in his first year, per ESPN's Jordan Schultz, his team only won 9 games. Now, his team is the first seed in the Pac-12 tournament, and Thybulle looks like the Huskies' most important player. Want your voice heard? Join the King James Gospel team. Write for us. Next, Cavs can't shy away from playmakers in the 2019 NBA draft. To me, that says a lot about him, and with the Cavs' focus being on player development and hopefully improving their defense considerably in the next few years, selecting Thybulle with the Houston pick, which will likely be in the low to mid-20s per tankathon, seems to make a whole lot of sense.